This layout update is going to be a little different. I'm going to give you more of a guided tour style of layout update, because I've done so many things, and without doing regular updates, sometimes I lose track of everything I've done. So it's better off just to kind of walk you around the layout and have a look, and I'll intercut this with other stuff. So I said I was going to do foam as of my last update, and as you can see, there's an awful lot of it here. The entire end of the peninsula was foamed in. This of course was already here, and then all the way down to this point is all set. This side's going to be a little different. I actually have to chunk some things up because you can see how the terrain has to come down from Federal Boulevard right there. So this is going to be kind of its own special little case. And of course foam costs money, so there's always that. And I'm not looking forward to making another mess out of this room. While we're over on this side, the other thing I did was, you can see I've added a spur here. Now it was supposed to be just 60 feet of unobstructed track, but I really wanted the someplace to put all these gondolas I've been buying. Initially they were for the Decatur scrap metal yard back in that corner, and that got taken out with the change of the track plan last time, but it was replaced by Atlas Metals, so these cars had someplace they could go. Now with Atlas Metals gone, I need a scrapyard, and this nice big blank space in here was just perfect for it, because a blank space like that exists about in this spot in the prototype too, even to this day. So even though nobody actually built a scrapyard there, it seemed like a nice neighborhoody little place to put a scrapyard, and so there it sits. So that covers that. Let's take a look at the other side of the railroad and see what kind of progress I've made over there, because I've actually been making an even bigger mess over on that end. And yeah, let's just cruise over there. Alright, so here at the brewery section, this is where I've been making the biggest mess. As you can see, I've moved a lot of stuff off of here, and I've changed the track plan a little bit from where I was at the old place. Remember, old location, this was it. After this point, this is an aisleway. So when that went away, and I ended up with all this, well, if you take a look, this is all the way to the end of the wall. This is just about triple the length of the original brewery. In fact, maybe just a shade longer. So initially I wasn't going to go any farther than about here with it, because I had some cockamamie idea about running one part over here to staging and having a continuous loop. I decided to scrap that for now. Or another idea was to have staging sneak through this little drywall right here, go into the other room, and have that be like a mole, a staging mole. That also went away because, let's face it, I don't own this house. I really shouldn't be doing things like that. So instead, I decided to reconfigure the yard arrangement here and actually just make this a proper termination point with enough capacity to deal with the trains and everything that has to come and go. So what we see right here is the first half of the yard that's going to be right in this spot, and this will be more or less when, say, the beer train arrives from Denver. They'll just pull it right in here, drop their cars, pick up the outbounds, and head right back out again. And that way most of the switching will be concentrated in this area, and with a couple of exceptions, basically run out of this yard, out and back. That's my initial thoughts on the operational scheme. And there's plenty of room to work here. And then the yard over there at Myrtle Place, that will more or less go as planned in terms of that just being a coal yard. So you can have one operator there just working the coal switcher and running the unloader. So hopefully that'll work out the way I hope it will. And back here, I'll have enough room on this end to put some minor shop and service facilities, not only for locomotives that are more or less home based here during their assignment, but even more importantly, for any heavy work that needs to be done at the brewery. This kind of harkens back to a scheme I had on the first version of the railroad when the shops were located at Myrtle Place. One of the ideas was to run a special duty flat car with like a fermentation tank on it or something that needed to run all the way back to the shop and be serviced there and then be redelivered back to the brewery. So anyway, the space expands, plans change, and but I think I'm going to have to commit to this. Otherwise, I'm going to keep tearing things up and rebuilding, and I don't know if the budget will support that. I don't think time will support that either, sooner or later. So anyway, that's the mess I've been making around here, but as you can see, it's going to lead to something pretty tremendous. And given the location within my track plan, and I'll put up a graphic for this, you can see how many streets are going to cross over this, the bridges, kind of the structural and scenic interest that I can see in my head in terms of what this is going to end up being. So, yeah, that's where we are on that. Now, if we see over my shoulder, another little project I did during all of this. Let's go over there and take a look at that. All right, this here is the, what would it be? The East End staging, which represents Denver and the rest of the world, basically. Again, this was gonna, at least part of this was gonna connect out that way for continuous running. Decided to scrap that. Obviously, I have a door there, so I can't go any further than that. So kind of like the first version of this layout, 4 tracks in the truth will be everything that feeds everything else that happens on the associated railroads. So it's a small area, and it might be a little tight working things in and out. I'm not entirely sure specifically how I'm going to do that in terms of physically putting things on and off the tracks, because they will be pretty tightly spaced in order to get 4 tracks in there. But things aren't going to be hanging out here very long, because this will be a mole-style active fiddle yard, and hence the shelves put up here to have easy access to things that need to come and go. And as more cars, as more traffic and everything like that flows on this railroad, I'll start putting in drawers and things down here for stuff that's either not going to be on the layout that day, or to keep things from accumulating too much on these shelves. So anyway, that's what's going on here. And also, this, I initially tried to hand lay a curved 4-way switch arrangement over here, and it was going okay, but I couldn't get the switch points to function properly, and ended up derailing cars coming into half the tracks. And I just thought, okay, look, it's a good experiment, nice try, buddy, but ultimately I found a way that this can be done with commercial track components. I'm just waiting to get a couple of Atlas curved left-hand Code 83s, and this will be ready to go. That's why we only see 2 tracks here now instead of the 4 that I was babbling about. So speaking of babbling, let's cut it off here. That's where the railroad is at right now. Thanks for watching. See you on the next update.